Here we are, guys, embarking on a journey, a challenge to clone one of my favorite 9mm loads. So I found these and shoot these in competition for 3-gun, and it was at least a pretty famous round. This was made by Stand One Armory, who's no longer in business, and is called the Chubbie, which was a -P load, a heavy -P load, which definitely helps with low recoil, and I think it's even subsonic. We'll find out. So before they went out of business, I ordered probably about a box of 1,000 of them, and I'm starting to run low. So I want to try to figure out a pretty comparable bullet to reload myself, and I want to kind of deconstruct it a little bit. So what I did was just took a handful of them, about 7 of them, measured them. So it is a 147 grain bullet, 9mm -P. That's really kind of all we know about it. So I measured overall length, and I got a pretty consistent 1.150. So if you average that out, it's right about 1.150. And then at the neck, I also found 0.377, pretty consistent across the board. So they got some crimp there, obviously. And then I actually pulled a few of these apart, and I measured the powder, at least what I could get out of it. And I got 3.2 grains, very consistent. And then I also measured the bullet, the height and the width, 0.671. I mean, incredibly consistent. So that's the bullet we're going to try to find and recreate. That's not all that important. What we really want is just to find a equally soft shooting round that is marginally as accurate but more importantly reliable, that it is cycling the gun. I've definitely attempted to make some soft shooting 9mm in the past and have had issues with failure to feed and cycling problems. So that's kind of the trick here. I think part of it's going to be finding the right powder, as well as the length. So that's kind of what we're after to do. I'm going to go to the range and shoot some and get velocity on it, and that will definitely help us start to figure out what type of powders to start to use. When I look at the Hornady manual, just to get a gut check here, and I get to the 147 grain bullets, one thing I do notice is their, at least in these measurements, their overall length is 1.165, which is a little longer than 1.150 of the bullet. So this is a little longer, something to consider. But I don't see, when I look down like the lowest end of the spectrum here, I don't see 3.2 grains in really any of this stuff. So this is, shooting below this chart, which isn't a terrible thing. But I have a strong feeling we're going to get into some cycling problems. I have made some 9mm of this size in CFE pistol, this stuff, okay? And I definitely had some failure to feed problems quite a ways. Let me check the load data book I have. This was out of a Glock 34. So let's see. So I started pretty low, and I loaded it to a similar length already for that. So I loaded it pretty low and found that we had failure to feed problems. No misfires. The first no misfires with 3.6 grains. This was another outing where I tried again, and this is 3.3, 3.4. Failure to feed, no lock back, failed to lock. And seemed like 3.6 was kind of where it was safe. So if you go back to the chart at least and look at CFE pistol at 3.6 grains, you're at about 100 feet per second velocity. So it's kind of a good starting point. I think we're going to have to play with some powders to see, as well as the overall length. Again, I did not load it to 1.165. I loaded it to 1.50. So we're going to go and kind of start over with this and go get the velocities off of these and try to trigger off of that. I think if we can get similar velocities, then we're probably going to see similar reliability. So that's kind of my thoughts and my plans. So we're probably going to make a few parts to this, and also trying to find a similar bullet size and shape. Shouldn't be too hard. So if you like the Chubbies, stick around, and can't see if we can find a recipe that replicates that as close as possible.